I'm suspicious of this T-shirt. Wolf. Yeah, there. Damn it!
T-shirt war, E39. I'm addicted. This is our 10th episode, by the way.
Is it?
This is our episode number 10. I know many series from NBC that never survived to episode 10. So, all right. Did everybody kind of get the gist of it? Yeah. It kind of seemed a little hard to define what project, non-BMW project could it really mean, like project car? Could it mean like just a car you want to buy and fix up, or a non-BMW project could be you could get a new wife. That's a non-BMW project. I mean, we could really, just take it all sorts of places. But in the spirit of really displaying our takes on it and our different views, I just really left it alone and let everybody come up with their own. Mine is very broad, but I will most certainly deliver the intent. With that being said, do you want to kick it off for us, Adam, since this is your baby?
All right. Well, welcome, everyone. This is S38 Fire Team. I am Adam Armour, broadcasting from Slicktop City, Arizona, where your next ultimate drive may begin. I have my friends here, Dre and Brooklyn. Dre, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody should know me. I'm internet famous. Like, I'm not, but Dre Zoom here, representing Jacksonville, Florida. So yeah.
Brooklyn here. Glad to be back in service of our purpose, bringing you the best automotive content on the planet, on your internet. Happy to be here with my brothers in arms.
All right, great shirt.
T-shirt wars, Brumus.
Oh, that was a Brumo shirt. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
only available at the
yeah.
Brumus Museum. Dre Zoom and I checked it out earlier this year.
Yeah, that was this year. Yeah.
Great t-shirts, high quality t-shirt. One of my very favorite t-shirts to wear. Feels great. Shout out to Brumus. Tomato. Brumos. Shout out to Brumos. I'm making an accent up. But yes, we're here. Let's do it.
Brooklyn, let's start with you.
Challenge accepted. So I thought long and hard about this homework, even though it was sent at the last minute. But in the words of the 21st century poet, Carl Andre Legister, there's no minute like the last minute. So I thought mine came to me quickly because I'm a wagon guy who has never owned a station wagon. So what I think would be an incredible project would be to have, when they used to have Dodge Magnums, people used to swap the front clip of various cars, Chrysler 300s, Dodge Chargers. And I think the Dodge Charger is a great looking, sedan. And we, in the last episode, we spoke about, even though, we had some steroid use style asterisks going on with that, but we had a wide body Dodge Charger as one of Dre's automotive selections. I think that would be a really cool project. I sent Dre the image that we can show. That'd be a really cool project. A Hellcat powered Dodge Magnum bodied with the Dodge Charger Hellcat front swap, and like full Hellcat sedan interior, and it would just be quite a presence on the road. I mean, this rendering, looks cool to my eye. I would drive with that, and also from the Dodge Challenger. So it would take several donor cars or really a lot of donor parts, but the 6-speed manual 3-pedal transmission from the Dodge Challenger Hellcats. You can't get the Hellcat sedan, the Charger, in 6-speed manual, but you could always get the Challenger Challenger coupe in 6-speed manual. So, you know, quick down and dirty. That's my build. You know, 800 horsepower, 900 horsepower. You know, Hellcat engine, wide body. You know, you can use it for all the things. You know, get groceries or stomp out the fastest cars in your city. Perfect. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, this is this is a swap that's, you know, it's not unheard of to do. Swapping the wagon. What was the wagon called again?
Magnum.
The Magnum body with a modern, you know, I've seen them put the 300 front end on it, the Chrysler 300. And, you know, it's crazy that the Magnum was really during the first, I think they only did one generation of the Magnum, maybe like a facelift update. And then but the body lines all still match up, you know, even with the most recent Hellcat edition. So, or I'm not sure exactly how much modification is necessary, but you can see in this one,
It looks pretty close. It looks right
there on the webs, and you can see that it's very close. You know, probably I don't know if it's a panel for panel swap, but it's pretty damn close. So, yeah, I've seen a couple of these swaps, and it's just amazing what they can do with this, because you would end up with because the CTSV wagon, at least in its most recent iteration, was not all-wheel drive. I don't think it was ever all-wheel drive.
No.
CTSV, yeah. So you're getting the acceleration aid of having all-wheel drive. So you should be.
Why do you say that?
You're talking about all-wheel drive swapping the Magnum, right? Well, the Magnums came all-wheel drive.
The Magnums were available in all-wheel drive.
All-wheel drive, and you could also get a Charger all-wheel drive.
You can get a Charger all-wheel drive.
You can get a Charger all-wheel drive, but I think only the police could get it in V8. You could get a V6 all-wheel drive. I recall, at least in
Really?
one of the years that they were made. They might have eventually made the V8s all-wheel drive. I'm not sure, but yeah, this is a part's been put together here for sure. And you would have probably the fastest stock-looking wagon in the United States.
Yeah, it would be quite formidable. There are some very fast wagons available. The AMG E-Class, AMG E63 wagon. Are they still selling those currently?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that comes to mind. And Audi is doing great things in the wagon department as well. But yeah, it would be, you know, if it's as I specified, and you're throwing the Hellcat arsenal at it, it would be very hard to beat with an engine that uses, you know, gasoline.
Right on. Adam, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a formidable choice. It's definitely not a very common choice. I mean, we've been watching some movies from the 80s in our household, and it's unreal to me how prevalent the old station wagons were. Right, you can get like Nova station wagon. They had a station wagon for almost every mark, and you know, the Country Squire was, you know, went across the country just sitting there. It was that long, with the wood paneling and all that good stuff. So I think that America as a whole has kind of gotten out of love with the wagons. You know, we've gone more towards the SUVs, and I think that the wagon is underappreciated here. So I agree. It's a great pick, and also a great look. And if you really need to get your ice cream home before it melts, this is the way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like I said, it's not something that you could probably still take it. And if I remember correctly, I've seen a couple guys on Instagram with those bills, and I think this one guy, he got all the way down to it wasn't even paint. I think he had it painted. I think the last thing he needed was like custom window on the side, so he had that part open. And he might have had the dash apart, but he couldn't start it because the ECU wasn't matching up. So he had to flatbed it to, his local Chrysler, and and he was like, "Hey, can you code this for me?" And like all the mechanics came out early, and they were like, "Dude, this is a Hellcat wagon." They were like, "How the hell did you do this?" He was just like, he was like, took 3 cars, and it was all-wheel drive the whole 9 yards, and
wow.
And he built it. He built it quite well, and they were definitely surprised. So you could still take it to, it's not like one of these custom crazy. You see these guys with these diesel powered Lambo Huracans, and you're like not taking that to Lamborghini, and you're not taking that to Chevrolet. So good luck with that. And you built the car, so that's fine. But there's always something that maybe the dealer that needs to address that you can address. And if you made a bill like that, you could definitely take it right up to Nissan, or I'm sorry, to Dodge.
Freudian slip.
Did I show my cards of what I'm about to present? No, not at all.
Yeah, I really always liked the Magnum. And I think at this point in history, you could get a Magnum for a pretty reasonable price. And you never know, they might go the way of, after this podcast, they might go the way of the Porsche 964, where everyone is using the Magnum for projects.
Right.
Yeah. The value skyrockets because they're just hard to find.
All right. Adam, you ready?
Yes.
Are you building your dreams project right now as we speak?
Yes, actually I am.
Don't worry, I did the same thing, but I had it all up here. You ever see that Super Bowl commercial where the guy is like walking with his boss, and he's like, "All right," and his boss is like, "Where's the project?" He's like, "Sir, I have it all up here. As long as nothing happens." And he like trips and hits his head on the filing cabinet, and the guy's like dead. And his boss looks at and there's 2 of them, and there's another guy, and he's like, "Don't worry, he told me everything." And they walk into the boardroom, and the guy slips and hits his head on the side of the table. It was hilarious. I thought it was just so funny, but I got it all up here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the share. Adam?
Let me give a little bit of preamble first.
I like a good preamble.
I like a good preamble too. Good word. Big
Okay,
money, no whammies.
This car I have been infatuated with for quite a long time. It is designed by the great, hold on, I want to make sure I get this correct, Giugiaro. All right. And all of his cars kind of looked the same if you look them up, and they were really great looking cars. And it's sort of in the same vein as the modern Audi RS7, so a big old swooping roof, or the Mercedes CLS. It's got a swooping roof. And Jeremy Clarkson famously bought one for one of their challenges. It was a Scotland 500-mile race or loop or something. He bought one, and he was so infatuated with it that he kept the car. He bought it after BBC was done with it. Okay. So this is an Italian car, and he famously said, "You cannot consider yourself a car guy unless you've had an Alfa Romeo." Okay. So this car, I saw one for the first time in North Carolina and it was a red one. And Heather and I were, I think this was pre-kids. Heather and I were driving somewhere, and we saw one, and we pulled up next to it at a street light. And as they took off, the engine noise was, the exhaust note was, just intoxicating. We drove next to it for quite a long time and just kind of marveled at the car. And I've basically been in love with them ever since. So now you can show a photo of the Alfa Romeo GTV 6. Okay, so this is the GTV 6, a two-door coupe with a hatch. And as you can kind of see, this is a recently sold one. And this car, I believe, is a very beautiful car. It's relatively stock here, I feel. And some of the key things I want to point out from the car are that it had you could get an inline four, or you could get a V6. And we like the the four headlights. That's a really cool option. And it had this one had pretty decent wheels. They came in blacks and reds and champagne, or what we would probably call bronzite. Not too many whites, not too many blues. Some of the ones I've seen were red, and then below the side molding, they would be black.
Yeah,
that was an option that I saw quite often, but they aren't very popular here in the States. And so I would get one of these, and I would kind of spice it up a little bit. This one is pretty nice. Don't get me wrong. Look at that interior. The interior is really great.
Oh wow, look at that.
Yeah. So it's just like a I think you would call it like a power bulge.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Does it vent out?
I can go back to the motor here in a sec. Yeah, this is very Italian. Yes. So many Italian styling cues, like this right here, the fuel cap with you just stick your 3 fingers in there.
Yeah.
So this
very
one,
cool car.
Like I said, this one's a little bit pedestrian. So my project would be sort of to spice this up a little bit. Yeah, those seats look great, don't they? That looks like a great place to be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Would you like a room? Easy there, Adam. Price.
Yeah, so this is a great car, and it comes in a 5-speed manual, and it's actually a transaxle, right? So the transmission is immediately inboard of the rear wheels. I think there's a photo of that. And let's see, it came with a 5-speed. They came in inline 4 or V6, and they had a very popular option towards the end of the run in the 80s that was called a Busso V6. And this Busso V6 came in single cam or 4-cam. Okay, I think after the GTV6 went out of production in 2005, I'm sorry, after the GTV6 went out of production in the 80s, the Busso carried on till 2005.
Wow.
So they made some pretty great improvements, and they have big Bussos like 3.2 that they sold from Alfa Romeo. And
right,
I think
Adam, can we, I guess I should let you continue to present, but we're going to come back to this photo and talk about I see so many engineering points that I want to talk about, but I'm starting to see, if I know you, I see why you picked this car. Go ahead.
Sure. So like I said, the Busso V6, a bigger Busso V6, which sounds hypnotic. I saw a couple videos yesterday of GTV6 climbing Stelvio Pass, which I believe is in Italy. It's in Europe somewhere anyway, and just beautiful sounds. So the Bussos sounded good by themselves. Big Bussos obviously sound much nicer, and so there's that. And then the suspension and wheel and tire fitment on this car is just plain stock, but there is a place on Instagram called OK Tech Alpha, and they really make some great looking Alphas, some really great looking GTV 6s. Very chubby. There you go. Just perfect fitment, flush, great wheels, just a chubby fit there. And just great. And there's your red over black, by the way.
Oh, yes. Nice.
So I believe the Alpha, you could get the 2.5. I think that was the largest spec you could get. But like I was saying, the big Busos were 3 and 3.2 liter. And then I've seen 3.9s. And then there's Callaways. That's not really a Buso thing, but they have Callaway turbos. And I mean, just great stuff. And I think the great thing about these cars is, as a stock looking car, it's still good looking, but then you do this kind of stuff, and it just takes it to a different level. And I think it's just a great car. So that would be my build. And nice. we can kind of dissect the underbody like you were talking about if you'd like.
Yeah, for sure. I want to just well, let me back up for a second. Brooklyn, have you had any experience with these Alphas?
My main experience, besides seeing them and thinking they look really cool, is our friend Adam has been talking about these cars since I met him many years ago. So that gave me a curiosity to look deeper into them. And knowing the man, I know that project would be, incredible. Put the biggest version of the V6 he could find, and start from there. And I'd actually, that's a project I'd like to see come to light. That is, you've always wanted, the days are numbered. You're going to get one of these things one day, and it's going to be epic.
Yeah, don't I'm sharing. If I find one, I'm sharing, right? You know your phone.
I love the wheels.
Adam's wife is going to be like, okay, I think that's enough project cars, and his phone's going to be like, ping! He's going to be like, Thanos snap right when the Thanos get the axe in his. He's like, should have went to the head. Right, back in time. But no,
I mean, we love the reverse opening hood, so that's also.
Adam, see, this is how I know Adam. This is exactly why I put that picture there. I knew he was gonna. I didn't even realize they had a reverse opening hood. This is, just like Brooklyn said. I knew you always appreciated this car. I knew these cars existed. I was more of a fan of the, which is sister company, not an Alfa, but the Maserati bi-turbo, which is same era, 3-box design, and turbo V6. But this right here is, it's a coupe. But I just want to go over some styling cues real quick. If you see, it's it presents like this is real prevalent in the 80s, where they maximize a hatchback, right? You'll see a lot of hatchbacks that have like this. It's pretty much the size for a 4-door, but they squeeze it into a 2-door. And you can see here that you could really, if you wanted to, you could have really formulated this into a 4-door hatch, maybe stretching the wheelbase an inch or two. But just the, this coach line right here, how it's creased right above, you could see the arches really kind of come out a little bit. And right here, you have this rear vent, huge rear opening. If you squint, if you after a couple beers and a good punch in the face, you would think this was a BMW, right?
Right.
Yeah. You have your hand up. This is not third grade, but go ahead.
I'm just trying to work on my politeness. My question: if you go back a couple photos after the B pillar, does that window open, Wolf?
I don't believe so.
There's a line there, as if you could have a venting or a power. You see what I'm saying? Because why is that line there?
It may vent. It may vent out. Who knows? Or maybe goes down, crack.
We can get it if we. I'm sure there's an interior.
It's Italian, so even if it did, don't do it, because it's not going to go back to its original form. Right? It doesn't matter.
I love those seats.
Yeah, and that shift knob. I'm pretty sure that was an entire tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see anything going on here, but yeah, the seats are Damn, this sold for 26. Damn, I gotta keep reminding myself how sufferable Italian cars are, but this looks good, man.
So what's that coloring in the headrest support there? Is it like a bronze color? Is that
It just
that
looks
on
like
purpose?
oxidation to me.
Okay.
You know, you got the
It's a
big
clean,
clock.
it's a really clean example. Those look like the alarm clocks from the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Look at that stitched dash.
I'll bet that's refurbished.
Or it was, wait, what was someone tell me the years that this car was produced?
It was like 70s to mid 80s. Like early 70s to mid
81.
I think they went up to 85.
Say again?
I think they went up to 85.
And how many of those years were they sold in the United States? Because you don't see them that often. Maybe just a few of those.
I honestly don't
Alfa
know.
Alfa was out of the U.S. market. And I don't think they even made it into the 90s by far. But look at that stitching around the glove box latch. If that was Porsche, that was half a mortgage payment for that option. All right, let me skip down. I just wanted to kind of talk about a few things that I noticed. And I still have my project to talk about, but I thought this was so cool. Where is that picture? There was a big picture of the undercarriage. But these cars, Italians have never been known for taking the path of least resistance. They will definitely do things much like the French. Like French and Italian cars are very close in engineering and design, where it's always things that make you scratch your head when you look at them, when you look back at them. You look back at a Toyota Camry from 1980. You look back at a Pontiac Grand Prix from the 70s or the 80s, and everything seems relatively simple, right? You can work on it. The Italians and the French, they really built cars during that time where you were just scratching your head as to like why. Some of it good, some of it not so good. This is what I noticed here. You have equal length headers running back, right? You see that right there? That's very cool. You have cooling fins. That's the oil pan, right, Adam?
Probably,
oil pan. You have cooling fins that helps cool the oil. You have airflow that's going across those fins and radiating the heat out. And obviously, this looks like a remanufactured or a new exhaust. They got the wells in there, but massive A arms here. You see that? Massive. These are huge, huge A arms. Unibody construction. Adam, that looks familiar to you right there, right?
Hey, yeah, it does.
You know what that is.
Yeah.
Those are fuel pump fuel filter. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Hey, at least they're back to back, right?
Actually, the thing about it is the early cars, they had the early V6 cars, they had 6 carburetors, right? And then they went to L-Jet. Just like the BMWs.
Yeah.
So
I like this right here. You look at this rubber fuel line. How many now I don't know if that's factory, but how many mechanic shops put the the jack pad right on that? Oh man.
The other thing I wanted to point out right there is with the transaxle, you can see the inboard brakes.
Yes, that's where I was going. I was working my way back to that. I mean, you see that normally on there's a lot of big trucks that have that. And in really high-end sports cars, race cars.
I'm glad you said that as a segue. When you were talking about the design of the fins on the oil pan, the equal length headers, and the details, the seemingly unnecessary details, it reminded me that what I know, I have very limited knowledge of Alfa Romeo. We're experts in some areas and we are generalists in other areas, like doctors. And so what I recalled was that Alfa Romeo was early on one of the most winning car manufacturers, and they were known for their racing prowess.
Yeah.
In fact, they had 5 world titles among which the first world championship for Grand Prix vehicles in 1925. You know, many of our most beloved brands hadn't even started yet, but in 1925, Alfa Romeo was out there kicking butt. And they won the first two Formula One championships in 1950 and 1951. Now, granted, these things were a long, long time ago, but they kind of inform what the culture and the character of the automobile manufacturer was at the time. So if you think about the 70s, that's not too far removed from when they were used to being, you know, a race car company. So they put these really, I don't want to say overkill, but for a quote unquote regular passenger vehicle with a smallish V6, they were doing a lot of automotive engineering in there that other companies weren't doing.
Absolutely. And the last thing I want to point out is these long trailing arms, right? Here's the subframe here, but the long trailing arms, which are necessitated by, as Adam, the aforementioned transmission in the rear, transaxle. Corvettes do that. The rear drive Corvettes, they did that for many, many, many years. And it's just, it's amazing. It's I don't know if I'm going to call it over-engineered, but it's definitely engineered to, hey, yeah, no, you know, it's definitely the spaghetti of, you know, engineering.
I'd like you gentlemen to explain to our studio audience what the difference is between a transmission and a transaxle.
Adam?
Sure. The transaxle has obviously we're looking at the car from front to rear here, and normally a transmission would be up near the engine and it would be coupled to the engine, right? And then the separation or the coupling would be either a manual transmission and a clutch, or it would be the automatic transmission and
torque converter.
Yeah, flywheel torque converter. Anyway, so this car has the transmission in the back, and it has to make that 90-degree turn to drive the wheels. And so typically there will be a differential there, and this combines those two pieces, both the transmission and a differential, into one unit.
And gives you perfect weight distribution.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, because you can offset the weight of the engine with the weight, and you're combining the transmission and the rear differential into one, thus saving you weight. And this is how Corvettes have done it for decades. You know, it's for decades. They've had the transaxle in the rear. And inboard brakes is just it's, you know, compact packaging as well. So Adam, this is I'm gonna say that you're gonna lose this challenge, and I'm gonna tell you why. This car is already over-engineered, so good luck, buddy.
If it ain't broke, fix it till it is.
Yeah. Those were two we had a Hellcat all-wheel drive wagon. We had a 80s Italian over-engineered coupe hatchback. Where I'm going is definitely different. I have, you know, I don't want to sit here and show you guys my car registrations and prove you how many cars that I have, but I like to go to Vintage, which is in North Carolina. I would love to go to Laguna Seca. BMW does a thing out there. There's a bunch of car events out there. There's stuff in Texas. There's stuff in Atlanta or Road Atlanta. There's car events everywhere, right? There's always car events across the nation. With Pittsburgh Grand Prix, our friend Craig was up in Wisconsin at Road America. There's always a place to go, right? There's Sebring. You can go down to Homestead. Car events and car races and just even car shows always bring everybody together. And I always wish that I could have all my cars there at the same time. And the problem that I run into is that even if you have a tow-worthy rig, you're still faced with a challenge. I mean, you might end up like, hey, I gotta, where I'm gonna park this truck and all of this. So where am I going with all of that? I've had this affinity for buses for a long time. And I know it really sounds weird. Buses, race hall transporters. And so Mr. Elon Musk has, started an entire new brand of cars, or new segment he's got into. They call it ease of entry, or something like entry into the market. He started Tesla, and they're all electric cars. I'm not saying anything new, but he's also talked about making a semi truck that is electric powered, right? So me using my massive brain here, I'm like, how can I combine what I really want? A bus is, they usually have like these old diesel motors that aren't very efficient. So where am I at? I am combining being able to live for a good weekend in my transport and bringing one or two of my cars along with me in the most efficient way possible. So let me share with you guys real quick. I am presenting to you this 1989 Airstream Classic 345 LE motorhome. And this is just one example. Now, the rear only has one set of drive wheels here, right? But I'll get to that in a second. Kind of at a conundrum with where I really want to go with this, but this is kind of my idea, where I want a retro classic bus type RV, right? Where I can live in it, right? I don't want to call live in it for a weekend on the grounds. Spills is at VIR this weekend, and I think they had some kind of trailer doohickey going on. But imagine, right? Imagine, here's my this back half here, right? This whole back half, probably the back third, just completely gutted, right? Clamshell, the rear doors open up, ramps in the back. I drive my car up, park it in there. Boom. Close the clamshells, and we're out. Now, that's going to be a lot of weight. That's going to be, a decent amount of weight. So it's going to need a modern drivetrain. And what I'm thinking is I can use the Tesla semi truck, which uses really Model 3 electric motors and gearbox. It uses two of them. Okay.
Have those trucks seen the road yet?
No, they have not seen the road yet. But as you can see here, there's two drive motors, one here and one there, right? And just, historically, these motors have, an electric motor is going to be smaller than a combustion motor, generally speaking. You're going to need a lot in there. We're going to need at least two. But my idea is that the motors, to build just a low platform over the motors and get my vehicle, the heaviest part of my vehicle, over the two rear axles. And also, shop accoutrements in the back, tools, spare parts, et cetera. But when I pick up and I go, I've got everything I need. You see what I'm saying? And I just think it's an ingenious idea, really, for, track days, classic car shows, anything of the above. And I can just swap out my cars, hop in there. Now, there's going to be a question of how do you recharge this over a long extended drive? And I'll just, and again, this is all of the electronics and the motors and everything is going to be based off the Tesla truck, which these trucks are allegedly designed to go long haul distances, right? You still have to recharge. Obviously, I'm going to have some kind of combustion motor in there to aid in the event of some kind of unable to recharge situation. Mere details. Okay. Let's not bore the story with details here. But that was really kind of project A. Let me hop into project B, which is along the, let me share another picture of the Airstream just to give you an idea of how awesome this thing is. I mean, you just look at this. I mean, like, who would not want to hang out in this thing right here? Look at this. Look at that. You know what I mean? Clamshell to rear. Huh?
Wasn't there a movie that featured one of these? And it was like some military guys. You know what I'm talking about, Wolf? It was
No.
something very similar to this. But these are cool. Anyway, these are cool.
This is all aluminum bodied. You can see he's got, this particular one has 2 AC vents on the roof. He's got his satellite dome. But, you know, my mindset is splitting this in the back, have the clamshells open, ramps come out. I could just fit a car from about this reflector back. But the problem that you run into is you don't want to have too much unsprung weight back there. It's gonna wreak havoc while you're driving down the road. It's gonna, you know, the back's gonna really wallow. But I just love the look of the Airstream, and it leaves plenty of room, living space here, which is amazing. You're talking about room for a beer fridge, a kegerator, a bourbon barrel, bourbon stash. You're talking about just a lot of room for living and entertainment.
Maybe a small girlfriend. I don't know.
Listen, maybe we'll see if we can fit that in.
Maybe she makes the cut, huh?
Yeah. We'll see.
Wouldn't
I'll put a passenger
do a
seat
wheelie. Wouldn't the RV do a wheelie with a car in the back there, or would you drive the car all the way?
Fair point. Right now, this particular Airstream, it is front engine, right? It is front engine and rear drive. But again, this is, you know, I'm trying to figure out the details. Let me share my second proposal. Boom, we have a Scenic Cruiser. Okay,
nice.
This is a Greyhound bus. This was from they were actually from the 50s. They were in the 50s, the 60s, and Greyhound made them for many, many years. I can't remember the actual name of the manufacturer, but they were a bus manufacturer, and they made these. And there was a lot of regular buses, but this particular one was called a Scenic Cruiser. And if you ever had, you know, toy cars, Hot Wheels, things like that, you may have had one of these. Matchbox, Lindsay, they all had like a version of this. And what's cool is because it was a double decker, right? Like this back half here, you walked up to it and you could see out. You know, the idea was to see America, right? But my idea is, you know, again, turn it into remove the big gas engine in the back, or I'm sorry, diesel engine in the back, add some electric motors at these 2 drive wheels, and some kind of ramp clamshell deal where I can get my cars in. And then the front half here is my living quarters, right? And then also this is full mechanic shop, right? I can, you know, I have all my tools. I have a winch. I have air power. I have, you know, air supply. This is just everything that you need. Classic look. I may even keep the Greyhound livery. You know, maybe switch it up to, I don't know, S38 Fire Team livery. Who knows?
Hey, I got it. Greyhound.
I've been called that before. Greyhound, yes.
It has a ring to it, doesn't it?
A tad pretentious, but I'm here for it. Yeah, Greyhound. But yeah, that's with some Tesla semi-truck motors in there, some sort of, you know, probably just a diesel V8 somewhere tucked. You know, we you know, there's a guy that jumped out of a hot air balloon at the edge of the space back to Earth, so we'll be able to figure it out. But this would be awesome. You know, I can load up 1 or 2 of my cars. I'm thinking like if the cars can go up high, I can get at least 2 cars up there. You know, the lower area could be the living area, any combination of that. Of course, structural reinforcements and just a one-stop shop for living, working, racing, and hauling. Brooklyn, comparison is the stealer of dreams, but go ahead.
I can't do the Vulcan hand signal. So, as I always say, here's the thing. Why don't we do the simplest thing from an engineering perspective? What do I mean? What do you mean, Brooklyn? This is what I mean. Why risk something as heavy as two cars, right? Let's say your E28 and your E31. You're putting them in this car for transport to, let's say, in this vehicle for transport to vintage. Why not have downstairs just rock solid? You drive onto it, you drive onto the solid platform, and you park there. And then a simple winding staircase, or however they originally got up there, and have the partying and the passengers that are why are we giving the cars the scenic view when the cars can be parked, because all we need to do is transport them, and then we can hang out upstairs in this, whoever isn't driving, you know what I'm saying?
Let me address that. You're hired. I've good news, Dre Zoom, S38 Fire Team. We found our engineer. No, that's a good idea. The counter to that is what my idea is like, am I hauling cars, or the Dreyhound would have to trademark, would have to the cars would have to be running. And the reason why I say that is because you need to get over the business area here in the rear. That's the difference between the Airstream and the Greyhound bus, is that the business end is in the back of the Greyhound, which precludes you from really utilizing anything really in this area too much. So if I'm coming in now, granted, in its current iteration, the business end is back here. This is where the diesel motor is at. So we would be scrapping all of that, right? That would be coming out. Hopefully, Elon Musk Tesla truck motors are low. I can engineer them where they're low profile enough to where we could just drive up and over and then down. But I like your idea of making up top the action area. That's where that's where the people live. That's where we're at. So
it's where the magic.
Good idea. I like that. You're hired.
Well, and the Tesla, the thing about it is they're planning to use Tesla 3 engines for the Tesla semi trucks. However, Tesla 3 engines already exist because they're in Tesla 3s. So we could get Tesla 3 engines even before the semi comes out, and we could actually, beat them to market. Market being your personal use for your super project.
Yeah, that's the idea. Revolutionize the world here. But that, I love trucks. I've always been ever since a kid, I've loved 18-wheelers and trucks of every kind, monster trucks, and being able to bring my cars with me, whether it is, right now, if I want to bring my cars with me, I either have to drive them or I have to trailer them, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it'd be much cooler to show up at Pittsburgh Grand Prix and park on the, or Daytona, 24 hours of Daytona, park on the inside, let the ramp down and pull out your classic BMW or your classic car, your classic Alfa, or your all-wheel drive Hellcat wagon. So that's how S38 Fire Team envisions non-BMW projects. What do you guys think?
I like the idea a lot, and I think that your hybrid approach is definitely a smart approach, especially with the non-pusher bus option. So I think that's a great idea. And what I've seen is, and you don't see this often, I just tried to find one, but I couldn't find one, is in front of the rear wheels where the cargo area is, I've seen cars stored there and then there's some sort of contraption that you can open the door and you can there's some sort of ramp that comes out or whatever, and it pops out from the side. I've seen that in a couple different places, but I couldn't pull one right up. Anyway, I think it's a great option. It combines a lot of our favorite things, being able to pull over and just chill out in our own vehicle, innovation, and it also has inside storage for our vehicle. So that's definitely the premium way to transport your vehicle is enclosed trailer, and this ticks that box.
Yeah, I'm gonna just share a quick picture here of the drive units. It'd be something in this fashion. As you can see, it's relatively low profile. This is the actual electric units, the two motor electric units, air suspension along with it. But you just take out of this connection spindle or whatever you want to call this thing, and you have yourself. And again, I would be I would want some kind of combination generator, combustion, ICE backup system to get me back at in the event that I run out of electric power. But as every day that ticks by, the world and society is conforming more to electric power, and to be able to pull up to a race shop or a function, just plug in my semi bus Airstream and it's charging up, and then we're good to go. I think that's a great idea, and then be able to pull my cars out too. You also got to think about how much quieter that's going to be when you're driving down the road. That's going to be great.
I love the idea, and I thought about what Adam was saying earlier about like a side load or something. There's going to be, because you're doing a project, there are other ways to do it. I love the idea of just driving in from the back, in and out, but and I also thought about the side, but I always feel like if you did it from the side, it would be another conveyance. Either you need a pneumatic,
exactly, yeah, you need something
or
you in. That's extra weight and extra, Hey, listen, everything's in front of me. All I got to do is buy a Tesla semi-truck, buy a Greyhound bus from the 50s, and then find somebody to put it all together. Other than that, we're in there. Listen, you guys had some great selections. Adam, wrap us up if you don't mind.
Yeah, I believe we're car guys. We're car guys. That's basically the punchline here, is that we do like our BMWs, and we do spend a lot of time every day, every waking moment, thinking about and dreaming about and building and transporting and whatever, improving our BMWs. But we're all car guys at heart, and these sort of projects I believe they call out that we're not just one trick ponies, that we do like other things and besides BMWs, and that's that's the spice of life.
Brooklyn.
I agree. I respect and love the choices you gentlemen have made. I would be honored to when next month, when we sign the $300 million contract with Spotify or Apple, whoever closes the deal first. I would love for us to actually, do the projects that we've dreamt up here, because these are three solid projects that we would have a blast doing. And because if you really take the concepts out to their multiple, to their ultimate end, it would be, okay, we're taking the GTV 6 and we're taking the and we're taking the Hellcat Magnum out to a show somewhere, Amelia Island, Pebble Beach, Monterey Car Week, the Goodwood Festival. The Goodwood Festival speed would be a sight to see, taking the Greyhound overseas. But yeah, no, it would be, we've done amazing things automotively, and these projects I find exciting, and I feel like this is a great one.
Good. Yeah, and I appreciate the diversity as well. So people, let us know, what do you think, what are some of your non-BMW projects you'd like to get yourselves into? This is what we'd like to do. This is S38 Fire Team. We're here for you. Another episode done. This is actually number 10 for us. So give us a little golf clap. There we go. Golf clap. There we go. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Let us know what you think and what you liked in the comments. S38 Fire Team out.